Okay, so let us start. Yeah, so we discussed few things about like how the project would be and so on. So we'll continue on that front and we'll really address few more issues with respect to this course as well. Now, like generally, when this course is being taught, almost every time or like 99.9% time it would be theoretical. It would be true, but again, like when I say this, I am expecting you to work with technology too in parallel. Correct. So I'm not going to tell you anything with respect to a language or a platform. Even I'm not going to provide you tricks, but definitely would be talking how exactly one can program in a large, in the sense like think of this like you are working with kind of a project and where multiple participants would be there and then you have to manage them all and so on. So such kind of stuff definitely would be there. Even I'm not going to teach you any management skills because generally whenever software engineering really is thought about, most of the most of the programmers do think that it is really talking about management. Definitely, I'm not going to do or give you some guidelines with respect to that aspect, but definitely what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some practical experiences and that you have to carry out. That's what I said, like some things you learn by doing, not through the lectures. So you are going to have some kind of experience too with respect to most of the lectures that we would be having. Right? Okay, then even like when we do say, then what exactly we are going to do? So as I said in previous session that there would be a project that one has to complete. Now, when we do talk about a project, ultimately there would be a teamwork. So though I said one person can be there, but my suggestion would be have minimum 2 to 3. Now, on what basis one should choose the project then? Because we have to justify like why do I require or why we want to work as a team rather. Okay, so try to pick the members which you are not comfortable with so that because you don't know when I say you are not comfortable with, I wanted really to say in the aspect of like when you will be joining industry at that time you might not be knowing persons or peoples from the group in which you are going to work out. So it is always better to work with new members. Okay, you can learn their mentality, you can understand them clearly. Like generally when two friends are working together, it is understood that one would be putting an effort, other one would be only sitting there and would be doing something which is not productive with respect to the work that was supposed to be carried out. Another thing is when we do say reliability, like think of this, the codes that you wrote till the time. Okay, what are the codes that you wrote? What are the programs that you wrote? Like whenever you thought you were given suggestion to make the changes, what exactly you did? You made the changes in it only. Now without worrying whether would they be available for you at the later stage. And then surprisingly what we see is when we go with implementation, at that time we face issues because the earlier code is not available which was working. So this is what I want you to really learn, version control. So maybe I will ask one of my CS student if possibly they are there till the end of the course to talk about GitHub platform. And I hope if you haven't done that, my suggestion would be like it is better to learn how to make use of GitHub so that like I want you to put your project on GitHub because this would be kind of distributed. You can say store for your project, which would be accessed by people's. I mean to say the members from your team. You are going to learn testing and debugging. Now, when I say testing and debugging, I'm not going to really teach you that part, but I'm going to give you some pinpoints rather with respect to how exactly it is to be done. Some software would be given to you and you are asked to test it. Say, for example, one software was developed by X student from your batch, and then others would be testing it to find out whether the program, the software or the system is working fine as per the requirements or not. Now testing can be done in a different manner. One issue possibly could be what we would be testing the system only to see that it fails. Another one is like try to see whether whatever the test, whatever the code that was written, whether it is mapping with respect to the requirements or not. Now think of this. Suppose you are asked to write a code. Okay, write a code, say for example, which returns whether the given number is prime or not. Now, when this code is asked, and if your program is displaying factorial, this doesn't work well because the requirement stated clearly that your code should verify whether the given input number is prime or not. But your program is computing factorial of that number. Okay, so like this is one sample example that I'm giving. Other mechanism could be possibly like if at all we are going to provide multiple users accessing the system. Suppose it is a web application. Correct. And then suddenly thousands of people are trying to access that system and suddenly the system goes down. So how exactly we can verify how many users can be permitted to log in at a time? And every system will have that kind of limitations available. Correct. Now, even if you have a mobile or a laptop, you must have seen that when you run an application, even a desktop, when you run an application, if it is taking too much memory, ultimately your machine slows down. Correct. So say your mobile also slows down depending upon how many applications are running at that time. So if free memory is not available, you may not get the complete use or complete good performance of your system. Then how exactly that can be done? So that's what kind of analysis that you are going to work with. So when we say this course would not be like other CS courses, like you did OS, DBMS, some of you did probably compilers or must have heard about. Now these systems or these courses do or these areas do talk about specific type of software product. The DBMS only talks about databases. Operating system only talks about operating system. If you are taught systems programming, then you definitely would be talking about compilers. Correct. Now they are belonging to a particular kind of project, but when you are product rather, but when we do talk about software engineering, we are talking about software development. Now, when I say software development, software development is not the only activity that you are going to carry out in software engineering. Software engineering will involve development, operation, maintenance, and retirement of software. And then to do this, there would be some strategy defined. What should be the proper approach, systematic approach to be followed to carry out all the activities included in the software engineering process. So that's why software engineering is called as a process. Okay, because if you really use the terminologies, both if you separate this word, complete word of containing two words specifically, software engineering, you differentiate now between them. Like you have a line between them. You remove software from there, then you talk about engineering. Now, whenever we do talk about engineering, there is a proper strategy defined. Now, with that engineering might be addressing civil engineering, electronics engineering, or any kind of development approach. Okay, with respect to the product. Correct. Now you have a proper strategy defined. Like for example, if I have to build a house, I do start from bottom to top. We never start from top to bottom. Correct. So there is a strategy. There is an engineering approach defined. Similar kind of approach is assumed to be part of software engineering. That's why we are saying that might be the reason why this terminology must have come into picture of computer science or core computer science course, software engineering. Fine. Okay, so standard definition as per IEEE standard. Okay, 610.12. It says it is a bookish definition, like the application of systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach to the development, operation, and maintenance of software. Okay, now if you go with this definition contains very heavy words. Heavy words in the sense. Now, what exactly do I mean by systematic? What is systematic for you? Now, like if you recall, I showed you one picture yesterday, one image yesterday, like which was talking about IT developer is saying we are not worrying about warnings, we do worry about errors, right? And we never worry about that part. Even like for example, if you talk about documentation, systematic documentation. Now, when we say documentation, our interest is only to add comments in the code. But do we have to stop there only? Only adding comments may not be fruitful for what was desired to be addressed in the comments that you exactly do right. Then when we do talk about such kind of aspects, next thing would be disciplined. What exactly, what kind of discipline am I supposed to follow? What should be the approach? Like before a while, I gave an example. Disciplined approach in the sense whether you are following top down or bottom up kind of approach. Correct? Even quantifiable. Now, if I ask you how much efforts you put in writing programming or learn programming language, how many programs have you tried writing? Like if I ask you, can you quantify it? How many programs are written by you? You might like for if you ask me, since the day that I started my bachelor's in computer science, BSc, MSc, and then this whole experience as a teacher, nearly like say maybe probably I could have written programs nearly 10 to 20,000. But how many of them are really worthy? I cannot quantify it, because when I say worthy, in the sense what exactly I'm really addressing or what exactly I'm going to use parameter to say that it is worthy or not. Correct. Worthy in the sense if it is part of some project which is applicable to be used or which is to be used by some set of users and now currently is used, then yes, you can quantify my efforts. But if I have written program of calculating factorial in hundreds of languages, that doesn't count into my quantifiable approach. I cannot quantify it because see, logic is not changing. Only the statements that I'm using is going to change. Correct. So then can we put more light onto this? Like let us simplify this. So we are saying the application of engineering to software would be the software engineering. Now, what do you think? What it should be? Like if I ask you, what is your opinion about this definition? Do we really would be able to prove that we are following systematic approach, discipline approach, quantifiable approach? What would be your opinion on this sense? How many of you really think that we do follow or fire or execute these all terminologies in a proper manner while writing programs? Do you think you apply that? Yes, please. Okay, let me ask you some different question then. Like whenever you are writing programs, generally you use print statements. How your print statements are? Okay, let us go beyond how your variables are named. So if I can recall correctly, like though I haven't seen your programming skills rather, but I can say that your variable names must be like IJK to be integer, CH to be character, correct? Am I right? Roll number to be integer. You never took roll number as numeric. But then you suddenly said like why we wanted this IJK as variables. Whenever we never, I don't know how many of you wrote it like character I. Have you written character I? Most of the times your I was integer, your J was integer. They are your variable names. But this was a standard set by maybe Yashwant Kanetkar when we followed him in writing C program. Though you might not have followed him, but the teacher who taught you C must have followed him. And that's why we follow what teacher tells. Then what should I do then? What would be the better mechanism for me to write the code? Because if I see your code, I should be able to tell what is the type of the variable. Now you may say like, okay, how exactly you are going to do that? Then I need to follow particularly the standards. One of the standards possibly could be, let us see. Hungarian notation is an identifier naming convention in computer programming, in which the name of a variable or a function indicates its intention or kind. And in some dialects, it's a type. Dialects in the sense like if you pick any standard programming language book, like say Java or the C sharp and so on, you definitely will see some kind of mechanism applied by the book writer, the author, in respect of what you can call it as naming the variables. Correct. So like I expect you peoples to go through it. Say for example, you may write like this, one account num. Suppose like if you prefix actual data type of a variable like this, a double r u8, it's 8 bit. Okay. Number list. We read line, so it might be byte value. str, it is a type name. So like you can use these are the from there is a paper written by him, written by some of the peoples like you can see this like yeah. So Charles Simonal, he exactly gave this idea. Who was chief architect at Microsoft? Okay, he gave that idea. Now, if you can get this chance to read maybe first chapter of this book, only read first chapter of this book in department in my department library. We do have it, so probably I will try to see if I can give you that PDF. Spitzold PDF. So this was very pretty old book rather, but if you read its first chapter, it definitely will give you good idea about what exactly, how exactly Microsoft rised in the sense of as an operating system with Windows and operating environment with Windows 32-bit environment, 16-bit environment, 8-bit environment, and so on. So I expect you to read this particular chapter, getting started, and history of Windows. This is a really nice one where they have really addressed those aspects. Now, even if I pick, say, for example, a code from this book, now you can see the names used there, variable names used there. Correct. So you will see that like to display such kind of windows, rather I did this programming in my bachelor's to display this kind of window only, title bar, minimize, maximize, close button, a window and one text. I was supposed to write this much amount of code. Now simply to display this box, you are giving an API call right now whenever you talk about any GUI programming terminology. Okay, so let me add this probably for you people. You can search it on Google, and I expect you to go through that particular first set of chapters as well as information about such notations. Say for example, it talks about Python. Now, like if you see rather in C, you pick like stdio.h file, say for example. Okay, now if you open that stdio.h file, you will see that every variable starts with underscore. Most of the standard things, like your printf also has underscore printf. Right? If you open stdio.h, which would be available on your Linux machine or Windows machine too, depending upon if you have that library available. I expect you to find out what are the naming standards. So naming conventions were taught to us, like how many characters should be there. I'm not expecting that part. I'm expecting what are the standards to be followed to write the definition or write the name of the variable. So you can get multiple, like for example, understanding identifier naming conventions for IBM. So they have given their own standards. Every company may have its own standard, but we definitely need to know what should be the mechanism that is to be applied. And whenever you go to particular industry, particular IT company, they may have their own culture. They may have their own standards defined, which you have to follow. Correct. Now, if you ask me which one would be better for me to start with, if at all I have to learn, say, programming standards, my suggestion always, which is my experience rather through my friends, through my batchmates and so on. So they say like if you at all wish to join for first 1 or 2 years, you should join TCS, Tata Consultancy, where you will learn good project management techniques. Later, you can join any other company. But then you may say like, do other companies also follow the standards of what the project management standards adopted by TCS? Actually, no. But then, like if at all you have to go into details of this project management, ultimately that is one best tool that they had created. Like for example, in our Teams app rather. So let me show you. So like you will see like when you join the Teams, say for example, you do see this particular towards left bottom. Okay, there is an apps thing. So you click on it and then you can search for project. So this is the good application which is part of our product now. It may or may not give you this, but like you can definitely track. So I want or I expect your project team, rather whatever team that you are going to form, to make use of this as an application. So you can add this into your team, set up a project accordingly. Okay, give a team name, suppose my team. Okay, so okay, let us add it into SE 1002. So I'm adding this into general tab, say for example. Now you can create a project. Okay. Okay, so I will try to see like whether it can be added through by discussing with my team. So this would be possibly available as an application. So on the front, I may not expect you to rather make use of some tools, but it would be better instead of this project. You can make use of Excel also, which is available with you. Correct, which can be used for project management. So where you are going to prepare a schedule, then you are going to track it per day basis. What is the current status of that project and so on. Fine. Okay, so now let us try to give the definition. If you see like what I'm trying to tell here is the definition is descriptive, not prescriptive. It is not prescribing us. It does not say how to do anything. Even it just says what qualities software engineering should have. But then problem is what? Everyone will have his or her own opinion about software engineering. What exactly software engineering is. Before a while, I was talking about what should be the systematic approach. Suddenly, I started talking about a project management. Suddenly, I said this is good programming tactics. Good. Everyone may not get adopted with TCS. But then, what should I do? Is my current company not well, rather or good, rather for me to learn these techniques? Definitely yes. Everyone may not get chance to work with the company. That's why I said the imagination, like this is my own opinion to say this particular statement that yes, TCS may be good option for me, but somebody may have his own option because your options may vary. What are your priorities? What exactly you want? Whether you want project, whether you want to learn, whether you want to name of the company or whether you want package. Your parameters are changing, and that's how your viewpoint definitely changes. So here we would be talking mainly about what are the tactics, methods that needs to be applied for implementation of software engineering. Now, what are the things that we are going to learn may vary from systems to systems. Correct? System to systems. Now, whenever we are talking about whenever we are talking about such all aspects, how exactly we can work out. Okay, let us see. Let us try to differentiate these two terminologies. Computer science and software engineering. Like, what do you think? What computer science is concerned with? What would be your opinion? What is your opinion? What computer science teaches you? Most of the times theory, practical, and so on. So let us see. Theory and fundamentals. Computer science would be telling you, like for example, in databases, you were taught theory. Correct? In operating system, you were taught theory. Now, even depending upon, say, the person who is teaching you, his or her own opinion may vary from here to there. Now, whenever we are talking about, say, other aspect involved into this process of software engineering, would be talking mainly about practicalities of development. And our goal would be how to deliver useful software. This should be the goal, definitely, no matter what kind of project management technique that you are applying. Even further, if you go along, you would be more interested in talking about the computer science, because software engineering is one, you may say, branch or one area, one core research area for computer science. Now, considering what was written or what was came out as an outcome of the research that people carried out long back, every research may not be fruitful when we are talking about current application developments. So yes, like yesterday, while I was introducing this course to you, I said that suddenly because of pandemic, the viewpoint of industry changed and everyone entered into education industry. Every application which was supposed to be for online meetings is converted to lecture conduct mechanisms. Now tomorrow, if they say like don't use these tactics, government forcefully asks you, okay, make use of some particular software to really demonstrate what are the lectures that you are taking, then you have to change your theories. Because like whenever we are talking about software engineering, computer science would be giving you core of it, but software engineering application will be dependent on the scenarios available in particular areas. What are the rules, regulations that will be applicable? Like what, like for example, you must have seen or you must have heard, probably what I heard was like in China, they don't permit you to make use of Google. They do have their own search engine. Now this is like you may say in that case, then do you don't think that Google is the good standard search engine? Then why they are forcing this? This is their own decision. So theoretically it might be proved, but if we purposefully say that you are not supposed to make use of it, then done. Correct. So this is the statement in by one of the researchers who said computer science theories are currently insufficient to act as a complete underpinning for software engineering. But yes, if at all I want software engineering to be fruitful, then computer science theories would be the foundation for practical implementations of stages involved in software engineering process. Okay, now everyone knows this. Can somebody tell me what is a software? What is software according to you? What is the software according to you? Are you there? What is the software according to you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What is software?
सर एखादं ऍप्लिकेशन बनवण्यासाठी वापरतात सॉफ्टवेअर.
Okay, but application itself is a software, correct?
The program,
Yeah, please. The program. Somebody was saying something. Yeah, Rutuja, what you are saying?
Sir, I'm saying that it is the like Java have a packages, so it is a contain the files of programs and some instructions to what to do in the computer. That
Okay, so what Rutuja is trying to tell is, like, if at all a software is to be used, there would be a set of programs. Okay, and it will have some instructions for me to tell me how exactly the software can be used. Correct? Am I right?
yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, I can see in comment somebody added it. Yeah, Mahesh is saying set of programs, instructions, procedures, but instructions, procedures would be really part of your program only, correct? So what exactly you mean by instructions or procedures? So I think what his opinion is this one. He is talking about associated documentation, which we never care about. Okay, how many of you tried installing operating system? How many of you can show me thumb rather through the chat? How many of you tried installing operating system? No matter whether it is Windows or Linux. Okay, let me go beyond. How many of you tried installing some application on the device? It could be mobile, probably. Have you gone through the instructions shown there? Okay, it says this application will access these things. Our aspect while installing software is always what? Yes, yes, okay, next, done. Am I right? We don't read the instructions. Even like if you see, whenever you think of using or having credit card facility, like even if you see some advertisement is there, there's a sale. Okay, like newspaper first page contains that complete advertisement, and in small font, maybe below 8 size, it says terms and conditions apply. We don't read those terms and conditions. Same thing might be applicable with our device too. Like some of you must have seen, like some of the friends or parents of yours or some relatives avoid making use of these UPI payments or even net banking. Have you tried asking them what is the reason? Have you tried asking them why they don't use this? What is your opinion? Why they might not be using these applications? Okay, let me ask another question. How many of you switch off your locations while moving from here and there? Do you switch on your location every time? Now, is your location on while you are attending this class? Location settings in your mobile?
No, sir.
no, sir.
Why? You assume that, okay, my location should not be known to others. Probably. Like if you call me, where are you? Do you know where am I sitting now? I'm taking this class from the garden of my department. So you may say, like, garden? Are you sure? But now you cannot challenge that on that front until unless I switch on my video. You cannot challenge, right? Now, when I say this, we think that my location would not be visible because this phone definitely gave you a chance. Like let me take a joke rather. Like we always used to do this, or generally we do this. Like whenever I call you, where are you? Sir, I'm outside. Outside Pune, outside my city. And you are sitting there. Now think of this. I am dialing to your landline and I'm asking, where are you? You are saying I am outside. Doesn't work. So that means because of habit of giving answers, we do respond in such a traditional way. We don't realize what other information is going along. Like if you have mobiles with you, okay, go to maps, open the maps on your mobile. And if you are using a laptop or desktop, even you can open the maps. Okay. Now in maps, there is a like if you see if you log in with your Gmail ID, you will see that towards right side your photo would be shown, a profile photo. Okay. There's an option called your timeline. Now you may not remember where you exactly parked 10 days before your bike. Google will let you know where exactly you parked your car. Like for example, it is if I open my location, it says, are you currently in Ganesh Khind? Are you here? Then it says you visited Savitribai Phule Pune University, Ganesh Khind Road, Ganesh Khind, Pune. You left that location at 9:35. Okay. If I take say on the 6th when we had okay, I had one exam of my department on 6th of February. Okay, if I ask where I was, so it tells me you visited Aurangabad. And then yes, I was at Aurangabad only that time. That means what? Then I may say until and unless I switch on my location, it will not have any information about me, but I never switch on my location. Automatically, the sensors do realize where exactly I am. The location sensors, so many location sensors probably could be there. Even your Facebook knows. Even like if I show you, for example, let me try to show you this. Okay, this was one of the exam that I had. Okay, now let me show you the logs. Okay, let us wait for a while. It will fetch the data. Now, what information is kept with me when you attempt an exam? So you may say your photographs. Yes, I do have them through this view proctoring report. But I do have your locations too. So let me pick one of the user. Mahesh, I'm picking your name, by the way, for your information to show this. So if I pick this Mahesh Badane, so I'm taking 6th of February on the day he gave exam. So if I say get these logs, I can see you can see that I know his IP address and whatever the activities that he carried out, every information is with me. If he tries to do something which is not like if he submitted his quiz, correct? So his quiz, when exactly he viewed it, when exactly he submitted at 2:59. You can see. Still, suppose he from 2:59 onwards, you can see these timings. He tried doing this. He tried accessing quiz. It says quiz access was prevented. The user with this ID, this is his internal representation. Okay, for the quiz, this ID by the same exam browser, he tried accessing it again. Okay, and I know every detail about every minor detail about this. Though I'm not showing you all other logs, but I can get each and every activity that you carried out. And that's how the software is developed. Correct. Now you may say how exactly I learned it. I never learned it through the programs. I learned through the documentation too. And documentation plays very important role. We never read this documentation. Like if I go to say let us not take this. Emacs, I hope you must be using. So if you see this is the source code of the system, that software. Okay, now this is a README available. This complete source code of that Emacs editor that you use. Right, these are the different directories that it can contain. I mean to say the source code is completely here. So if you see, these are all files which are supposed to be used by that Emacs program. See how many programs are there. So we say Emacs is a software and that software contains these many files. And you can see this is worked with by these contributors. There are total 543 contributors who are contributing into that code. Now, if I open one of the files, say for example, say, let us open this. Let me see, good one. Okay, let me open this menu.c. It gives me information who were the contributors. Okay, this is through the GitHub, which I was talking about before a while. It tells me like who are the people who are using the system. Now, generally, we write the code in such a way that no other person should understand my code. Actually, this is not the strategy. Strategy should be well defined. Like whenever you write the code, now you can see this is standard code written for Emacs. How the naming standards are and so on. If you contribute in such software by making changes in the source code, your source code change needs to be approved by the community. And that there might be some team leads here. So it tells me this, like history, latest commit save 20 hours ago was by this person. He prevented menu items leak. This was the problem in that particular code, and he prevented it. So if at all if I update my Linux system, Emacs would be getting updated automatically from this particular site by downloading it from the repositories. So like I'm supposed to read all documentation. Now you may see how the comments are written. See here, written non-zero if menus can handle this. Everywhere comments are, and recall how you write the comments. It is always good practice to learn, read the program. You should be able to read the program. Now, when I say read the program, it doesn't mean that I'm going to read, okay, what is this program is doing? So I will go to, okay, timestamp. How I know what exactly this code is supposed to do? So it tells me what should happen. Right. So even like with respect to the print statement that you use, how you write the messages really matters. Because of using your code, using your inputs, using your comments, somebody will be able to understand what exactly you have written. So you have to follow some standard strategy rather, and that's why this documentation plays an important role. So like if you see here, even too, there are files available. Like for example, every time it will have a README and it will tell you like what before a while Rutuja was trying to tell. Right, so it will give me instructions. Even Mahesh was telling us there would be some instructions involved, how exactly to use it. But our idea while installing the software is what we always press next, 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 OK, accept. We don't read the terms and conditions at all. We don't read terms and conditions at all. And then we move further with respect to the application. Right? So we are saying these software products like this for addition for you people. So you can read this. There are two kinds of categories of a software. One is generic and second one is customized. Generic, Office 2021 or Office 365. It is generic. It never really addressed you. Now, if you talk about Moodle even, Moodle is designed to be generic, but whatever you see on Moodle platform is a customized application by us, which you can use. as per the need by the university's requirement. Like university wanted proctored examination, we added proctored examination. It is customized. Every Moodle platform may not be like that. You have to customize it. There will be options available which will permit you to customize that software. Right? So generic softwares and bespoke software means what you say as customized applications. So basically customized application may be targeting a single customer or set of customers, but it is not general. Like for example, if a application is developed by you, which is for banking purpose, every bank is not going to purchase your software. They will ask you to make changes as per their own requirements. Correct. So SBI banking and Maharashtra Bank of Maharashtra's banking, net banking applications are different. Security parameters are also different. Seeing the code, ultimately, the system may take care of majority of stuffs in respect of whether is it secured, is it performance wise good, and so on. Hundreds of parameters probably could be there to evaluate your software. Fine. So in next lecture, rather in next week on Monday, we'll be talking about what exactly, where exactly the difference can be seen in implementations. Fine. So I assume our lecture is on at 10:30 only on Monday. Am I right, Rutuja?
Yes, sir.
So let us meet on Monday. Okay, so I'm passing you the Moodle course link again. Those who joined. So note down this key, enrollment key, se@2022.npp. Fine. And the course link I'm adding. In chat. So those who haven't joined Moodle yet can join through that code. Fine. Okay. This is the key to join the course. Fine. Okay, so see you in next class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.